So until now, when we've talked about areas under curves, we've always been talking about to the x-axis. So if you in a graphical representation, we've always been talking about that part right there, under the curve, meaning until the x-axis. Let's think about something that you might want to do, though, is that if you had a couple of different curves, maybe something like that, what if we wanted to find the area just in between the two and not necessarily to the x-axis? So that's what we're going to talk about now. So this is actually maybe a lot simpler than it seems, in that all you have to do is take the definite integral of the top curve minus the bottom curve. So let's, for example, call this one here f of x, and this one here g of x. So a typical question you'd get is, what is the area between the curves f of x and g of x, or whatever they happen to give you? So first of all, there's a couple things you need to determine. Which one is the higher one? And oftentimes they're just going to give you two algebraic expressions and not a graph, so you're going to have to figure out which one's above the other. So whichever one's on top, that's the one you start with. F of x. You subtract whichever one is on the bottom of their relationship to each other. So the other thing you can see is that if you were to extend these curves and you were asked for the area in between them, the way they cross here makes this the logical choice for the place between the two curves. The problem is, if you were given, again, not a graph, but just the algebraic functions, it's not immediately obvious where these points of intersection are, because wherever they are, that's what you're going to have to put as your A and B. So what you need to find out before you finish this is, where are the two functions equal? Well, you can figure out where they're equal, and then you can set your A and B accordingly, and then do the integral from that A to that B of the upper function minus the lower function. So I used a graph here to kind of illustrate what I was talking about, but if you have algebraic functions, you need to figure out where they intersect, because that will be your bounds, and you need to figure out which one's higher than the other, and you subtract the lower one from the higher one to find the area between two